Hey, welcome back to the stash. Superman is a symbol, a god among men, a being of impossible strength, of boundless hope, of unwavering morality. He is the first, the original, the template upon which all superheroes are built. He is the beacon in the dark, the guiding star that leads us towards something greater. He is the voice that whispers to us that we can be more. But here's the thing, Superman isn't great because he's invincible. He isn't great because he can lift mountains or fly to the furthest corners of space. Superman is great because he cares. Because despite all of his power, he still chooses to see the best in us, to believe in us, to fight for us, even when we don't deserve it. And yet, in Superman Red and Blue, we don't see the god. We don't see the impossibility. But rather, we see Clark. We see the man in Superman. The man who saves us, not just because he can, but because he must. Because that's who he is. And it is in these moments, these small, quiet, deeply personal moments that we truly understand Superman. Not as an untouchable legend, but as someone profoundly human. Superman Red and Blue is an anthology that strips Superman down to his essence, both literally and figuratively. There's no yellow, no golden glow of the sun, or the shining filler of his S-shield. Just simply red and blue. Just a man standing between us and the dark. Each story told by different writers and artists gives us a glimpse at the burden Clark Kent carries, not as an all-powerful alien, but as the very best of all of us. And through that we get something that modern Superman stories often struggle to capture. The sincerity. No, not the irony, not deconstruction, not a cold analysis of power, or even a Superman fallen from grace, a theme that became oh so popular however many years ago. No, we get sincerity in its purest form. And I feel like if there's one word that perfectly describes this book, it's that. It's sincere. It's so unapologetically Superman. So join us today as we go over why this comic, Superman Red and Blue, is so special. Before we get into that though, I just want to take a quick second to say a massive thank you to Kratanada for requesting this video. You've been a channel member now for over 5 months, and I can't thank you enough for going above and beyond with your support. I also wanted to say that here at The Stash, we're trying to reach 7,000 subscribers before the end of the month. It's a huge ask, but with your help, I know we can do it. So if you like Superman or just comic content in general, feel free to stick around and maybe hit that subscribe button. And if you too wanted to be able to request your own video, consider becoming a channel member. For only $5 Australian, you'll get exclusive badges, custom emojis, behind the scenes updates, as well as your own special topic request. But anyway, with all that being said, let's jump right back into the video. Anthologies like this live and die by their individual stories. Not everyone lands, and not everyone is a revelation, and some are forgettable, others well-intentioned but not quite executed to perfection. But the best of them? Well, they remind you why you fell in love with Superman in the first place. They reignite that spark. The reason you picked up a comic, the reason you looked up at the sky and imagined a man in red and blue soaring above Metropolis. There are stories about loss, about the aching pain of knowing Superman can't save everyone, about the heartbreak that comes with his greatest weakness not being kryptonite, but the reality that he cannot be everywhere at once. There are moments where we see Clark wrestle with the truth that even with all his power, he can't change fate, he can't stop time, and yet he keeps going. Not because he has to, but because someone has to. Because if he doesn't, who will? Then there are stories about kindness. The quiet, unspoken kindness that Superman represents, not just in grand gestures, but in the simplest of moments. The way he takes a second to stop a girl getting picked on. The way that his presence, his actions heal the world in more ways than he could have ever imagined. Or even how he takes the weight of the world and carries it so others don't have to. These stories remind us that being Superman isn't just about strength or flight. It's about the choices he makes every single day. The choice to be gentle when the world tells him to be hard. The choice to listen when others dismiss. The choice to save no matter how many times humanity lets him down. And then there are stories about standing up for what's right, even when the world feels like it's caving in, even when it'd be so easy to turn away, to give up and give in. These are the moments that show us what makes Superman, Superman. Not his powers, not his alien heritage, but his belief in us, his relentless and unwavering hope that people can be better, that we want to be better. This series had so many stories that more than once had me sitting there turning the page with my eyes welling up, because something about this entire story, this entire comic, hits right. Because these stories, despite their shortness, despite their simple color palette, felt more real and honest, more Superman than some of the biggest and most expensive adaptations ever could. Because they remind and show us that Superman isn't just a hero. He's a mirror reflecting back the best parts of us, and sometimes we need that reflection more than we ever truly realize. Superman has been around for nearly a century, and in that time, countless stories have been told about him. But what makes Superman Red and Blue special is how deeply personal it feels. One of my favorite aspects of this comic was how it's not about the spectacle or the big fights, but rather about the moments, the little things, the things that make Superman, above all else, a good person. There's a beautiful story where Superman takes a man's mother's ashes up to the moon, forever keeping her in eternal starlight, promising to do better. There's the story where he simply visits Bizarro on his birthday, giving him a memory of a lifetime. For most, Bizarro is a monster, a mistake, an inverted mockery of Superman himself. But to Clark, he's not any of those things. No, to him, he's a person, a soul longing for connection, for understanding, for someone to see him as more than just a broken reflection. And so Superman takes the time out of his day and actually shows up, smiling with a gift in hand. He gives Bizarro the birthday he's always wanted, as well as a moment that he so desperately longs for. A moment where he isn't feared or ridiculed, but simply seen. And in that, Bizarro isn't just an outsider. He's a friend, cherished and valued, because that's what Superman does. He doesn't just fight battles, he heals wounds, even the ones no one else bothers to notice. Then there's a story where, as Clark Kent, he stops a holdup by just talking to the gunman. No super speed, no heat vision, no indestructible fists, just words, empathy, and a quiet understanding of pain and fear. And in that moment, Clark doesn't overpower the gunman. He reaches for him. He talks to him, offering a path forward instead of another cycle of violence. And that, to me, is Superman. He's not just the strongest, not just the most powerful, but the one who always chooses kindness first. Because strength isn't just about what you can lift. It's about how much you can carry for others. These are the kinds of stories that remind us why Superman matters, why he isn't just an outdated relic of the past, but an eternal figure of hope, a presence that endures, a guiding force that tells us time and time again that kindness is never wasted, that hope is never foolish, and no matter how dark things get, there will always be someone who refuses to let the darkness win. And that, to me, is Superman. And then there's Generations from issue 5. This story doesn't follow Superman in the conventional sense. Instead, it follows Jonathan Kent, a father grappling with doubt, questioning whether he's capable of raising the child he and his wife adopted. He confides in his priest at Smallville's local church, seeking wisdom, wondering if he can truly be the father Clark needs. The priest listens to all his concerns, then tells him the story of Jesus rising from the water, and how God himself declared his love and pride for his son. He offers Jonathan a simple but powerful piece of advice. Make sure your son knows every day that you love him, that you're proud of him. And Jonathan takes those very words straight to the heart. From the moment Clark is a baby, to the day he first learns to walk, to his school days, Jonathan is there, watching, guiding, reminding his son that he is special, that he is loved, that he is enough. And Clark carries those words with him, even long after his pa has passed away. He carries them as Superman, Not just in how he saves people, but in how he speaks to them, how he believes in them, how he installs in them the very same love that his father gave him. And then there's that final moment with Superman in space, looking down at Earth, the planet he has dedicated his life to protecting. And he speaks the words that defined his childhood, the words that shaped the hero he became. It's a message that transcends time, space, and existence, because that is what Superman is. A reflection of the love that was given to him, passed down from father to son, from hero to world. A love that does not fade with time or hardship, but rather strengthens, because Superman isn't just a protector, he is a symbol of kindness, of unwavering faith in the goodness of others. Every act of heroism, every selfless choice, every moment of compassion, these are echoes of the love instilled in him from the very beginning, and that's what makes him more than just a hero. That's what makes him Superman, because at his core, Superman isn't about power. He isn't about might or invulnerability. He is about love. The kind of love that endures. The kind of love that shapes lives. The kind of love that reminds us even in our darkest hours that we are not truly alone. This story hit me in a way few others have. As someone with a strong bond with my own father, I found every word, every affirmation, every moment of pride Jonathan Kent showed his son. I saw it in the echoes of my own experiences, of the lessons my father passed down to me, of the strength I drew from his belief in me. And seeing Superman, this larger-than-life icon, carry those same lessons forward, professing his love not just for his father, but for all of us, made it simply impossible to hold back the emotion. It reminded me that love, real and unconditional love, is the foundation of everything we are. That is what carries us through, what shapes us into who we become. And that at the end of the day, no matter how powerful Superman is, it's not his strength that defines him, but rather, as this story perfectly displays, his true strength lies in his heart. And that's why Superman Red and Blue matters. It's not just another Superman comic. It's a constant reminder. A reminder that Superman is not just Clark Kent. He's not just Kal-El. He's not just a hero. He's us. The best version of us. The version of us that keeps fighting, that keeps standing up, that keeps looking out for others even when it would be so much easier to walk away. Superman Red and Blue isn't about power, but rather about presence, about being there for those who need you, about staying when the world moves on, about believing that people, no matter how flawed, are worth it. It's about the simple, quiet acts of heroism that define a lifetime. It's about the choices, the sacrifices, the moments of kindness that ripple through time. It's about a father reading a Superman comic to his child the same way his father did for him. It's about the idea that goodness is worth passing down. Superman is a constant, a guardian, a promise that someone out there cares, that someone will always stand for what's right, not because it's easy, not because it's profitable, but because it should be done. And when you go on this mini journey and read Superman Red and Blue, you don't just walk away having read another simple comic. No, it's far more than that. Instead, you walk away feeling something, feeling like you too can be better, that you too can be Superman in your own way. For Superman is a symbol, but more than that, he's an idea. And that idea, it never dies, because as long as we tell stories about hope, stories about kindness, stories about choosing to be better, Superman will always be there, soaring above, reminding us that even in our darkest moments, we can still be the light. And that is why I love Superman Red and Blue.